For the 40,000 students at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor is home. Established in 1824, the city has a host of things to do and see. But just 2 miles away, there is another city by the name of Ypsilanti. As the old saying goes, these cities are so close, but so far away. And from this adage stems the conception of an AnnArborYpsi divide. Separated only by US 23, one would assume that these two cities are very similar. But with their own unique characteristics, some perceive them to be worlds apart. But is this an actual divide or just a myth? Is there a reason Ann Arbor residents don't frequent Ypsilanti? To see what people really thought, we asked them to sum up their thoughts about Ann Arbor in just one word.
I think of Ann Arbor, I think of a beautiful established city, good student life, and a lot of people around.
Very liberal.
Overpriced.
Trees. Diverse.
Campus life.
Weed.
Well, Ann Arbor seemed to get a pretty good rap. But what about Ypsi?
Ann Arbor. I don't really know much about it.
Gas stations.
Ypsilanti.
I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Ypsilanti Mayor Paul Schreiber says that the divide is only in people's imaginations, as Ypsi has developed in recent years.
People have a chip on their shoulder about Ann Arbor taking over Ypsilanti or overshadowing Ypsilanti. I think that's the wrong attitude to take. Grady, I keep saying that Ypsilanti is transforming itself from a city of industry to a city of knowledge, culture, and entertainment.
Despite Ypsilanti's improvements, others cite that because both cities have universities, many residents have allegiance to their prospective towns.
It doesn't seem to me like there's nearly as much to do, but again, I don't know because I don't have a connection with Eastern Michigan. You know, they may very well have just as many culture events, etc. But I think, well, I don't know. I mean, Depot Town, I think, is kind of a fun spot in Ypsi. I've not really experienced it, but I would imagine that that's where the students go, maybe, for activities. I don't know. You know, I think Ann Arbor is a fun place to be. There's just a lot going on. I think the perception would be that it's much more difficult to get into Michigan than it is Eastern, you know, so therefore, I mean, it's a, quote, better school.
I think there's a bit of one. There's quite a lot of intermingling between the two because it's easy to get from one to the other. But I mean, I think it really depends who you ask, because different people are going to have different views on this. I would say Ann Arbor is, I don't know, I think it's a lot more commerce driven. Well, it's bigger, obviously, there's a bit more going on, and I think the student population has more influence on what goes on in the town itself. Ypsi, I think, it's got a little bit more of that small town feeling. It's a little more eclectic. There's a broader cross-section of people living there, and the student population is significant but doesn't have as much of an influence.
I don't think it's a very unfriendly divide. I just think that each town has their differences and they just go about life in a different way, I guess.
These viewers did not seem to know that much about Ypsilanti, but Ann Arbor native and Ypsi coffee shop owner Peter Reinhardt says he knows exactly why there is a divide.
I think that the perception of Ann Arbor is that it's much more of a higher educated city, that they have a lot more attention to the arts and the arts, high art, entertainment, fine dining. And that all comes with socioeconomic status. How much money does your household make? How much of it's disposable income, and etc. Is there a divide between Ypsi and Ann Arbor? I think Ypsi tends to think of itself as the grittier, more blue-collar, go-to-work kind of city, and Ann Arbor tends to be more of the white-collar, who do I write the check to kind of city.
Population size, poverty level, income, and race are different amongst the cities, but of the people interviewed, Reinhardt was the only one who thought these factors contributed to the divide.
Of Ypsilanti and Ann Arbor, as a comparison, Ypsilanti has really no marketable segment that's over 12% of the population. socioeconomic status, education, income, number of years in a home ownership, they're all over the place. All over the place. So you find that people median income in Ypsilanti is $48,000 for a household. In Ann Arbor, it's over 90. So yeah, there's a difference. It largely has to do with income. The people that you tend to see that live in Ypsilanti are either long-term residents or people that are moving here because they can afford to, because it's more affordable than Ann Arbor. Yeah. About the two cities, here's one thing that they have in common, and I think that it sets them apart, is that the amount of diversity within the populations that they have is really phenomenal. You can get a little taste of anything in either place. It just tends to be a little more focused on the spectrum when you come to Ypsilanti or when you go to Ann Arbor, which end of the spectrum you're on, I suppose. So I really like the fact that you can do pretty much about anything. Ann Arbor draws a lot, by virtue of the university. They draw international acts on a consistent basis, things that you have to go to Chicago, or things that most people have to go to Chicago or New York or Los Angeles to see, come through Ann Arbor.
If you go down, you look, the storefronts now downtown. 10, 15 years ago, there were a lot more storefronts that were empty. People are taking pride at times here in Ypsilanti, but I think what's the most important thing is that we have people excited about moving here, young people excited about moving here. We have two world-class universities, Eastern Michigan University and that other one a little farther west.
But is this divide an anomaly? After all, every Manhattan has a Harlem, Los Angeles has Compton, Dallas has Fort Worth, Atlanta has College Park, and Ann Arbor has Ypsilanti. As Paul Schreiber suggests, maybe the key to this bridge is to simply cross the highway and see what's on the other side.
No, there's not a divide. There's a bridge. Okay, you just got to cross the bridge if you want to get to the other side. And that bridge is over US 23. And you can take advantage of the bridge or decide not to. And I think it's a personal decision, and I think people that take advantage of the bridge are rewarded by doing that.